name is Bishan and Gill. This is the first ever pod. To my right is my big brother, Harry Gill. Thanks for watching.
Thanks, everyone. So this is our first episode of the Golden Brews podcast, where we talk sports. We'll see what this evolves into. As of right now, we're going to talk about the NFL and the 49ers and Chiefs. So we're going to begin there, and this one's going to be fun. It's painful, but it's going to be fun.
Yeah, it'll be fun. I mean, it's just a way for us to, kind of get our thoughts out there, just like all the other crazy people doing podcasts nowadays.
Yeah, exactly. The Chiefs spanked them. Like, they really beat down on the 49ers yesterday. That was one of the hardest games I've had to watch. One of the games I looked forward to most since the Super Bowl, like many 49ers fans, I can say. But yeah, it was a really tough loss. What are some of your initial thoughts on the game?
Personally, I feel like I wasted 3 hours of my life that I'll never get back. That's pretty tough to watch. I mean, being a 49er fan, you're kind of used to the ups and downs of it. But at home against a team that ripped your heart out last year in February, to go back to that place mentally, it was tough. And, I feel for the people that went to that game and saw all those Chiefs fans celebrating once again on our field. That's tough. But, as far as takeaways go, I feel like the offense was atrocious. Injuries played a big part in that. Pre-game, Debo went down with an illness, and then Brandon Ayuk. It's just really, really tough to see. If anybody saw the highlight of, or not a highlight, but if saw the video of him getting hurt, you never want to see that. But that's the way they teach you to tackle now in the NFL. They don't want you to hit up high, do a blow to the guy's head. They want you to go down and cut their legs out. So it was a legal hit. Can't really say much about it. Just unfortunate that he was on the receiving end of something bad.
It hasn't really done much this year. I mean, what did he get paid? $120 million?
Yeah. He's still impactful though. That's the thing that you got to take away from it. I mean, he's important to that lineup, that locker room, and not seeing him on the field. He was a big part of last season, so he's still kind of getting his bearings.
You said last season. This season,
yeah.
Do you agree that he's done nothing
up to this point? Yeah, he's pretty much just been a decoy. He had a big drop earlier in the game too that could have set him up with the first down. It was on third down. They had a punt after that. It was just tough. It was just tough all the way around. You never want to see like an injury like that, but having a difficult game up until that point and a difficult season up until that point, it's just rough.
And you look like you just watched the Super Bowl all over again.
I never watched the Super Bowl again, and I felt like I watched it again yesterday. So it was rough. Yeah. It was rough.
Who's to blame for this loss?
I mean, it's a multitude of people, to be honest. It's not just one. You can't just pinpoint it on one person. I mean, you could say Brock Purdy, Kyle Shanahan, our defensive coordinator, Sorensen. There's a ton. What do you think?
Yeah, well, I think first it has to be Kyle Shanahan. It has to be Kyle. He strategically did not call a good game plan from the get-go. I know the players are supposed to execute, but everything seems so vanilla. They didn't make any changes from the Super Bowl.
Yeah. It looked like there was the same team, the same result. If you don't make any changes, the same thing's going to happen, right? I mean, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result.
Yeah.
So, insanity.
Second, it's Brock Purdy. 3 interceptions. We had Patrick Mahomes throw 2 interceptions in that game. And he posted one of the worst passer ratings probably of his career. But Purdy threw 3 interceptions.
So I saw this crazy stat yesterday that in games that Brock Purdy throws an interception or a turnover, has a turnover, he's 6-7. So now 6-8. And games that he doesn't have any turnovers, flawless, he's 14-0.
Yeah.
So don't turn the ball over, and you're good.
Yeah, but we did. I mean, the 49ers did. And
Easier said than done. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's enough about the
Who else
Niners.
is to blame?
Let's,
I
let's,
think for me,
let's,
I have
let's-
one person I think Niner fans are looking at. I've been on Twitter. Nick Sorensen.
Can I? Yep,
Nick
that's what I
Sorensen
was
is to
gonna-
blame. Why did you think the same thing? Were you?
Well, let me ask you a question. After last season's Super Bowl, who did they blame? Who did us as fans blame?
The defensive coordinator.
There you go. So,
but that was Kyle's.
Kyle
did the same thing, right? I mean, he fired the guy. So
yeah, but there's only so many times you can keep going back to that same well. It's not always the defensive coordinator's fault.
Yeah, but let's think about this. They wanted to go back to their old school type of defense, right? Rush 4, drop everyone else in coverage. They did that. They showed. I don't know how many times they blitzed Mahomes. It looked like they called the same play.
I can tell you how many times they blitzed him.
Tell me.
It was like 3 times the whole game. Like seriously, it was like 3 times. It was horrible. It was drop back. Let's wait for Patrick Mahomes to get outside the pocket, run for some freaking 35-yard running play down the sideline, tiptoeing.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Sometimes I just feel like the NFL game is only made for him. Like the refs are like, okay, let's protect him at all costs. He's like the golden goose. So I don't know. I don't get it. I know the Niners played like crap, but I thought Patrick Mahomes played like crap too. The guy had like a 30 rating up until the third quarter.
But he made plays.
He didn't throw a touchdown.
He made plays when they mattered most.
Yeah, that's
Purdy
true,
didn't.
But
he scores in the end zone when his team needed it.
Yeah,
Purdy throws an interception in the end zone when the 49ers needed it.
Yeah. I don't know. I think what can you change? What can you change?
Well, I think strategically you want to try to give Patrick. Yeah, you got to give Patrick Mahomes different looks, right, on defense. You got to if he's missing his top receiver, right, he's probably not going to have that much time to throw. If he's scrambling and it's a 4-man rush and he's trying to bide time for his wide receivers, and he did that a lot, that means his receivers are not getting open downfield. Imagine bringing a blitz from your linebackers, right? Even from your safeties or your corners or whatever it is, and playing up man coverage. You paid all this money for your secondary, right? In the offseason, they talked about the Niners having a really, really solid secondary this year. And yet, what do we do?
Yeah, it's pretty stout. I mean, it's awesome.
It's a great secondary, but do they utilize them as they should?
So one of the things I'll kind of touch on a little bit is the safeties being as strong as they are. Hufanga usually plays in the box, right? He's this guy that they use on these blitzes. And if I'm watching the game yesterday, the guy that stands out to me on defense is Malik Mustafa. Like he is just a beast. He's like a missile coming down the sideline to sideline. So why not put that guy in the box, have him blitz twice a game, see what happens? If you can take your bullet type of safety and you're going to drop guys back anyways. It's an element of surprise. Do it. We know you're going to only rush 4. There's no surprise there. Why not do something different? Think outside the box a little bit. I mean, you're already down by 2 scores. You have nothing to lose. Open it up. Let's go.
You know what the 49ers defense reminds me of? The Eagles offense. They have stars, they have studs, and they think their stars will get them to win games. And they don't have to call any great plays. They can just their talent alone will get them to make plays, and that'll be that, and they'll win. Unfortunately, that's not the truth. This is the NFL. Coaching needs to be better, both on offense and defense. Other big news. Just heard about this. Brandon Ayuk, right, is injured for the season. How is this going to affect the rest of the receivers?
It's going to be rough. Doesn't look like Debo is all that healthy either. I did hear something interesting. Don't know if it's a possibility or not, but there's some wide receivers that have moved already in trades.
Yeah.
There's one name It's a possibility. And I thought it was pretty interesting when I heard it. And it kind of it stopped me in my tracks a little bit. And I think it's possible, but you may have to give up a little bit more than you want to. Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp is possibly available. He's supposed to come back this week, play Thursday. It does look like they may want to move on from him after the season's over. So maybe John Lynch reaches out. Les Snead likes to wheel and deal.
Yeah, he does.
What's he always say? Fuck them picks, right?
Yeah. The Raiders do. They shut the door on them. Or yeah, that's not going to happen. I don't even think they need to make a trade. I think you drafted Pearsall.
It's not impossible. I mean, there's guys that have been traded within their division before.
Yeah. I think he's still making a lot of money to make the salaries work, and it would just be. I don't see it happening. Yeah.
Well,
but I mean, it could happen. Yeah, you're right. I've seen him, in the rumor mill. Cooper Kupp. So, but we'll see.
Yeah,
how do you think? Who?
Maybe we can speak
what's
it
the
into
starting
existence.
lineup? What's the starting lineup going to be like for the 49ers at the receiver
wide
position?
receivers?
Yep.
Well, Debo's your starting slot guy. You're going to have to put Ricky Pearsall out there. Hopefully, Juwan Jennings is healthy again. He's one of the biggest reasons why the Niners couldn't win this game was third down. Our third down thunder comes from one man and one man only. That's Juwan Jennings. And you could see how difficult life is without Juwan Jennings.
And not Deebo Samuel?
I want to say they maybe converted. Yeah, no, Juwan Jennings is the guy. I mean, if you look at third down conversions in the NFL, in the last 2 years, I would say he's probably up there top 5.
Yeah.
And he's a safety blanket too for Brock Purdy.
Yeah, Kittle was the safety blanket yesterday, but you're right. Juwan Jennings could have definitely helped.
But Kittle's
I think he's the number one.
Kittle can't do it by himself, though.
No,
Kittle can't do it by himself.
No, you can't.
Let's keep going though. I think we touched on the Niners Chiefs enough. That game's honest to God, it's meaningless now because one team
they got Dallas
kept
next
doing what
week.
they're doing, and the other team
they have Dallas next week, prime time. Do you want to give any thoughts on that?
The Dallas game is interesting. It's two teams that are on the wrong side of the wins and losses column. Both of them have been embarrassed in recent weeks, at home of all places as well. It's going to be rough. It is a Sunday night game. The Cowboys are going to come in pissed off. They really need this one. So do the Niners. This is why we like the NFL so much. It's the constant drama. It's the effects of the fallout after a win or a loss. And so the storylines week to week change so much. This is what it's all about. It's the number one TV show every Sunday night. Every single Sunday night, there's nothing bigger than it. It is drama at its finest.
Yeah, not to digress, but why don't you think basketball and baseball and hockey have that same sort of appeal?
It's the amount of games. So each one of those sports has 80 plus games. So I want to say hockey as well as the NBA both have 82 games, regular seasons. And then the baseball, MLB, has 162. So you dilute the product so much day in and day out, having so many games. I'm not saying have fewer games. Never would I ever say that, because I love all those sports equally. And every one of those sports gives you something different, right? But the NFL is something that, man, it's either a Monday, Thursday, or a Sunday. You're going to be locked in watching on those days. Those are NFL prime time days. But, hey, you want to go have a couple beers with the buddies on a Tuesday or a Wednesday? What are you going to be doing? Oh, let's go catch a baseball game, or let's watch a basketball game, or a hockey game. But Monday, Thursday, and Sunday is prime time NFL.
Yeah. Niners primetime. Dallas should be a fun
Yeah,
one. Yeah, I think both
yeah.
teams. I think this is
I
this.
may be there. I may
You
be
thinking
on
about going to the
site
game?
for that game.
Really?
Yeah, I'll be up there. So I fly to Scottsdale tomorrow. So I will be there up until Friday. I'll be in the Bay for a few days, depending on if the buddies come up for that game on Sunday. I have a few Cowboys fans, so if
Ooh,
those guys want to take the trip up, so maybe we'll do something together. So
you're
could be a
friends
fun
with
one to go to, especially at
your friend.
nighttime.
You're friends with Cowboys fans?
It's kind of a one way relationship. Like they're friends with me. I just kind of keep them at bay a little bit. You know, like
Yeah,
hey, we're cool, but you know,
smart guy. Smart guy.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, you're right. Let's move on to a couple of the other big games that happened this weekend. Packers and Texans was a really big one. Really close game. Packers got the win 24-22. Yeah, what are your initial thoughts from that game?
So Packers and Texans was probably the second best game I saw this past Sunday. It was just an all out kind of back and forth grudge match between both teams. CJ Stroud versus Jordan Love. I mean, it doesn't really get better than that right now, especially where both quarterbacks are, where both teams are. That game was just a really fun one to watch, and Green Bay just they made more plays at the end. They got it done. Brandon McManus came in for his first field goal as a Packer. Had to hit it twice actually because D'Amico Ryans, being the sly devil that he is, called a timeout with a millisecond before they kicked it. So
Yeah.
pretty awesome trick by the the opposite head coach, but to no avail because Brandon McManus hit that thing twice, and that was a strong kick. So you got to give it up to him.
Yeah. The Packers, it could have gone either way, honestly. It just came down to timing. Packers got the ball in the end. Jordan Love is playing like an MVP this year. They just have a lot of weapons on that offense. Really good receivers. They got Josh Jacobs this year. Jaden Reed is like this gadget player. Unbelievable. Reminds me a lot of Brock Purdy. I meant to say Debo Samuel. He's something special. And yeah, Jordan, Packers they're a dangerous team this year. I could see them playing for the NFC Championship game, possibly the Super Bowl this year. Now the Texans, yeah, this was a tough one to lose, but they're missing Nico Collins, who clearly
They're
his
they're
losses
they're a
affected
young,
CJ
resilient
Stroud.
bunch.
I think, honestly, I think Mixon's more important to that team than CJ Stroud. Mixon is playing like better than he's ever played, even when he was with the Bengals. Just unbelievable football.
So what
from
it
Mixon.
is the past. So I think both players complement each other better than pretty much anybody else in the NFL. CJ Stroud needs Joe Mixon just as much as Joe Mixon needs CJ Stroud. That run definitely sets up their pass, and their pass, it almost sets up their run. Because you have that fear of CJ Stroud getting behind, right? Getting a wide receiver behind you. And then you got to bring some guys up, but Joe Mixon is just slashing, He's outside the tackles, he's got the speed, he's got the build. There's really not much else you can say. I really thought they were going to win that game. That game was very, very close. It could have gone either way. It was just pretty much who had the ball last.
Yeah. Is Jordan Love, do you agree with me when I say he's arguably like in the MVP race right now?
I think the MVP race right now is too premature to talk about. If we did have to say that, if the NFL ended today, like the season ended today, there's probably a handful of guys that could win it. I'd still think Lamar has the best opportunity. If we had to say NFC MVP, Jordan Love's there, but he might not be the best quarterback in his division. Jared Goff is right there. I have not seen anybody play better than Jared Goff. I think as far as accuracy goes, that guy is probably the most accurate quarterback in the NFL at the moment.
Yeah, Jared Goff is playing well. The Lions beat the Vikings 31-29. That was another huge game from the weekend. Probably the biggest game. Probably the biggest game in the NFC and the NFL this past weekend.
Oh, yeah. I mean, to go into Minnesota to that hostile environment, being a Detroit Lion, that's torture. They're division opponents. They hate each other. We all know this. For them to do what they did and get that win, the end of the game was kind of weird. They had 1 second left on the clock, but they snapped it, and when they snapped it, it was 0 seconds left. Apparently, they weren't set, so it was a penalty on the Vikings, and yet they allowed them to. It wasn't a runoff though, so they were allowed to have one more play. And I thought the smartest thing I saw the whole weekend was the Lions not sitting back and allowing Darnold to get the ball off. They blitzed him, and they got a sack on the last play of the game. I don't know why more teams don't do it. I think it's awesome. You're just putting your foot on their throat.
Yeah, to play devil's advocate, why teams probably don't do that is they need to drop more in coverage in case, the receiver, catches the ball and there's not enough DBs back there to tackle him. So you want enough tacklers back there. But I agree with you. I would blitz as well. Don't give them time to throw a Hail Mary, kind of like how Aaron Rodgers just did recently. And got it right before halftime against the Bills.
So this is what I'll tell you is, looking at an offensive line, right? Offensive line consists of 5 players, right? And then you're going to have your quarterback. So that's 6. So you have 6 offensive players that have to be in the backfield. Usually teams are rushing 4. If you just add 1 more, it's still 6v5 in the defense. So You're still only rushing 5. But instead of rushing the usual 4. So if you rush 5 players, that's considered a blitz. That's what Detroit did. They just added 1 extra player. So you still have your safety blanket. You still have an extra player back there. Do you really need 2 extra players back there? I think not. If you can speed that up, you don't give him time to set his feet, and that's what happens. The results speak for themselves.
Right. The receivers probably got 15 yards, 20 yards downfield before the D lineman or the linebacker was in Darnold's face. Yeah,
exactly. I think he had a 5-step drop. As soon as he got to the his peak of his drop, he could not even move up. He was on his back. That was it. That was all she wrote.
Was Darnold exposed?
No, Darnold played a great game. There's no way he got exposed. You're playing against one of, if not the best team in the NFC. Up until that point, the Vikings were it. But Detroit is a great team. You can't say that he put them in position to win the game. They were leading with less than a minute left. So
did he do
I would not say that about Sam Darnold. I think he played it.
Did he do enough?
They still lost at the end. I think that at the end, the play calling was a little in question. I think the play before the last play of the game, they could have done better with that. I think they let a lot of time slip away from them. If they had done 2 short passes, they still would have had more time on the clock than that one long target that they had in the middle of the field.
Yeah.
So I as much as I would put on Sam Darnold, I would equally put on their coach.
Now shifting back to the Lions, have they now separated themselves from the rest of the NFC?
I would say yes and no. Yes, they are head and shoulders above a lot of the teams in the NFC, but they're tied for the division lead in the toughest division in the NFL. So they're tied. As far as wins and losses go, they do have the tiebreaker right now because they have a better division record against the Vikings. So, but there's still another game. The Vikings still have to go to Detroit. So if the records stay the same and Minnesota goes in there and beats them, there's a potential that the possible best team in the NFC could have the 5th seed in the playoffs.
Hold on. So you're saying the Lions are not
right now?
The Lions are not better than the Vikings.
No, they are. They definitely are. I'm just saying that this is the early part of the season. These kind of games, yeah, they're meaningful as far as wins and losses go right now, but there's a long season ahead, and
Sure,
they're still just tied.
So Jared Goff now. Let's closing thoughts on the Lions. Kind of back to their offense and Jared Goff being a really good passer this year. How much of that is because he has two stud running backs that call themselves Sonic and Knuckles? They've earned that title, by the way. So give that to them. I love that video game, by the way. Remember we used to play Sonic the Hedgehog, Sonic 2? I think we had Sonic 2, right?
Yes, I do remember Sonic. That was a fun one.
Yeah.
Sega Genesis.
Yeah. That was a blast. But yeah, I think that's really cool. I don't know about like the kids nowadays. Do they even know what Sonic and Knuckles is? Right?
I don't think so. I think most kids nowadays, I think it's Fortnite and maybe Call of Duty. I think those are the only two nowadays that people really play. If you're like a kid from a different country, Europe possibly, FIFA is more than likely going to be number one.
Yeah, I like FIFA. I just beat Ghost of Tsushima. That is a sick video game. It's set in like Japan and I think like 1200s. Don't remember, but it's like one of the best games when it comes to sword fighting I've ever experienced. One of the best RPGs. I know you're not a big fan of the RPGs. I know you like the sports games and Madden.
Yeah, I'm more of a sports guy.
And FIFA.
I mean, I did pick up the Formula One game this year. I got really big into Formula One. I think that's been awesome. But that's technical, man. It's hard. It's not easy.
Do you play online, like for Formula One?
I haven't. I'm yet to play online in pretty much any of these games. I'll be quite honest. I've had the PlayStation 5. Is it PlayStation 5 now that we're at? What number PlayStation is it?
It's PlayStation 5.
It's 5.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, I don't even know what number it is. I have it. It's sitting there, unplugged. I think total runtime on that's been like 6 hours, possibly, and that was just because the games were downloading.
Yeah, I think I called you out on Madden a couple times, but I know you're.
I can't. I don't. Does it sound familiar? I don't know. I don't think so.
You're just scared of Big Brother. It's all good. I get it. It's okay.
Are you talking about like the government Big Brother, or are you talking about actual like biological Big Brother?
Like me, your Big Brother. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Gotcha. No.
I'd destroy you. Yeah, I know you don't want to play me, but
you can't see this or what?
Oh man. Yeah. So like, just back to Goff. I know, kind of just digressed there. Where do you rank him in the top quarterbacks right now? You have just don't think about this being premature. Just tell me what your rankings are for the top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL right now. Sorry, NFC right now.
Top 5 NFC. Man, that is tough. I would put Jared Goff at number 1. Number 2, I would say Jordan Love. Number 3, I'd say Sam Darnold. 4, this is going to be unpopular on my part, and I don't want to say it, but I kind of feel like, that's probably Geno Smith. And number 5, I'd put Brock Purdy in there.
Wow.
That's it.
Brock Purdy at 5. Sounds like recency bias a bit. Like,
yeah, it's true. Last week he was the greatest quarterback I've ever seen. We talked about it, and this week he's gone all the way down to 5.
That's what you call the Spagnuolo effect. Spags is really interesting. He does this thing, goes on some sports podcast, and talks about how he called Purdy after the Super Bowl and said some great things to him. And I think he might have just he talked about him again because they, obviously the 49ers were playing them.
Yeah.
The media, he said, kind of reiterated a lot of the same things, saying he's, still just as good. So, it's interesting to me. Bill Russell, I know this might not be the best analogy here, or best comparison. Bill Russell used to play Wilt Chamberlain, and Bill Russell would compliment and say all these good things about Wilt Chamberlain, right? As almost like a psychological tactic.
Psychological warfare. Yeah.
And he would do this to get him to think that they're friends and but Bill Russell was one of the biggest competitors in the NBA the NBA has ever seen, right?
Oh, yeah.
And I think Spags is, I don't know if he's doing the same thing here, but it's really interesting that, I think he's in Purdy's head.
He plays mind games. He's playing mind games. I guarantee you, before the game started, Spags talked to Brock Purdy. I guarantee you. When they went on the field,
really?
He said hi to him. I'm not joking. I bet you probably went up to him because he's built that rapport, right, over the offseason, calling him, talking to him. And going on, some other sports talk shows and other things, maybe calling in and singing Birdie's praises. So building that rapport, it's in his head. He's in his head.
He's in his head. Yeah.
Purdy's young though. He's got a lot of growing. He's got a lot of growing that he needs to do. It's not you can't solely put it on his shoulders. There's a lot of things that he doesn't know yet. So it's going to take time. We have to remember this is his 4th year in the NFL, starting, right? 4th year in the NFL.
Right.
And he played 2 full seasons. 1.5 seasons or so. And so he's just starting his 2nd full year. So he's still super young, and there's a lot of learning that he still has to do.
Yeah, but the 49ers are going to need him to learn faster. But Kansas City's defense is probably the best defense. They do this to most quarterbacks. So,
you sound
as a
like
Niner
one of
fan,
those
you
J.G.
want him...
Wentworth commercials. It's my money. I want it now. That's what you sound like right now. You know that?
Yeah, well, that's okay. That's all Niner fans, right? We want it now. We can't. I mean, I feel like they own us, right? As a Niner fan, is the Chiefs just
You feel like it? It's right there. Yeah, they own us.
It's like rent free.
There's no question about it. We're not dumb. You know what I mean? Like we're not like Raider fans where we think we're going to the Super Bowl every freaking year and they have 2 wins. We actually feel like we have a chance. Then we lose the game handedly and we give it up. They're the better team. There's nothing else you can say about it.
Shanahan's never beaten Andy Reid in his career.
Yeah, that's it. Andy Reid is. Maybe he'll retire. And then we'll finally win. Come on, Andy. Let's start pushing. #Andy retire. Let's do it.
Honestly, I really think that the only way the 49ers even have a chance this year is if the Chiefs lose to someone in the AFC. Because if they see them again, they might as well just not show up. They might as well not go to that game because...
one guy, sorry to cut you off, but there's one guy that I can think of that has Andy Reid's number. Can you tell me who that is? And he's available right now.
Yeah, I can tell you who that is. Bill.
Who is it?
Belichick.
Billy boy. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Bill Belichick.
Okay, so let me ask you: do you think York? Do you think
they need
York?
They need that guy.
Do you think York makes that call at the end of the season if the season turns out this way?
I don't think that will happen. I think they've invested too much into Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch's relationship. I do believe they will make another defensive coordinator change. That's just a given. Seeing the people that are out
in season.
in season would be pretty drastic. I think it would be awesome. Like seriously, I think I don't want anybody to lose their job though. I'm sorry. I do apologize. Like I never want anybody to lose their job
Of
because
course.
everybody's got families, things like that. But I think it would be like I think it'd be a baller move, man. That's like straight up just taking I don't know. That's different. That's thinking outside the box. It's what they need. They need a spark. They need something. You know, there's these teams that do stuff at the trade deadline. The Niners have done it the last couple of seasons, getting Christian McCaffrey and then getting the defensive end last year who stunk. Remind me of his name, the one from the Redskins.
What's his name? I'm losing it too. Give me a second.
Yeah. So, you know, they got him. So they made some splashes, right, when it comes to the trade deadline. But why not make a trade deadline coordinator hire?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, that'd be different.
Chase Young.
Well, Chase Young, yeah, thanks.
Yep.
So, you know, we've seen that already with some teams, how they've changed. They've demoted guys, you know. You look at the New York Jets. That's not the best example, I know. But the New York Jets demoted their offensive coordinator, and they, I believe it's their quarterback's coach now that took over play calling duties. Why can't you do that? Why can't you bring in a guy, and we already know who we're talking about, sitting out there? You can have Sorensen go back to his previous position, and then bring in that guy. I think it would be just the jolt that team needs. So
yeah, last year there was an in-season demotion. It was the Eagles defensive coordinator. In 2023, who was that? Nope, that's not right. But yeah, the Eagles were having probably one of the worst defenses last year, and they demoted their coordinator, and I don't know who they gave the position to, but I think it's rare when there's a demotion and the coach sticks around. But I could see this happen with Nick Sorensen because he's been on the 49ers for many years now. I agree. You know, if they have a shot at bringing in Robert Saleh, go for it. Back to Belichick.
You need to do something.
Think if the 49ers miss the playoffs this year, Shanahan is going to have a tough conversation with Jed York. And Jed York, I think it could go 50-50. He could potentially,
Jed York
with
and
Belichick out there. Yeah.
Oh, man. Belichick is going to have his pick of the litter. There's a lot of teams this year that didn't give him a fair shake, and now they're paying the price. So I don't think he's going to go to the New York Jets. He's a New York Giants loyalist. If there's any job in the NFL that Belichick would take over the Patriots, it is the New York Giants job. The New York Giants are home to Bill Belichick. He may take that one up again if they move on from Daboll. It does seem somewhat of a dumpster fire, though, over there, so he'll have free reign. But that being said, he's going to come back to the NFL next year. He has to. I don't think there's a chance that he'll sit out again.
Yeah, he's definitely coming back to the NFL. I think Belichick is going to take an interesting approach. He's going to look at one thing specifically from each team, and that is the quarterback position. Who is the quarterback on the teams he's interviewing for? Because that matters to him, because he doesn't want to figure that position out. If it's already figured out, great. His job is to go in and, be the defensive guy, right?
Do you think there's an opportunity at a place that he's familiar with that made a mistake by letting him go the first time? The Cleveland
Browns? No, he's
great defense. Great defense. You can put that defense up against anybody.
I 100% agree with you. I just think Cleveland is just one of those teams that's just cursed. The Browns, they're just never, ever going to be good. Because, again, I said the quarterback situation. That quarterback situation is not solved. Belichick isn't trying to bring in a rookie. He wants a bona fide starter. Don't see that happening ever. You can just, I think there are going to be some big changes in the NFL after this season. There's going to be some big time teams making some big time coaching changes, like the Dallas Cowboys, possibly the 49ers, possibly the Eagles. I don't know how much he wants to go to Pennsylvania, but that could happen. I have talked to a couple of Eagles fans, and yeah, I think they'd welcome Belichick over Sirianni. Yeah, so yeah, we'll see what happens. The 49ers, man, I feel like if this next game it's a must win. If they don't win it, it's gonna be very tough for them to make the wild card.
Yeah, I think so too.
I mean, their division's wide open. If you look at the Rams, they're whatever, mediocre, dealing with incredible amount of injuries. Arizona's just not there yet. I mean, I know they beat the 49ers. They shouldn't have beat the 49ers, but they beat them. And then you have the Seahawks that obviously they just got beat down by the Niners. And I think they still have the division for sure. But things can go south with Ayuk injury. Let's see what happens. I mean, he wasn't producing, but like you said, he was doing the other things, whatever those are, being a decoy, being a run blocker. Yeah. So, is there anything else we should discuss today?
I'm just thanking everybody for watching our podcast. Make sure that you like and subscribe. Golden Brews, just a couple of brothers trying to make it in this world. No, I'm just kidding. Just trying to do something fun, with each other. We love talking sports. Hopefully our views are shared by you guys, or, if you have some things that you want to bring up, some questions or different points, we'd love to hear them in the comments.
Yeah, I agree. Like and subscribe. We are going to be doing more of this year. Probably one episode a week to start, and we'll see what it turns into. And again, our conversations are probably going to be a bit about everything, mainly focus on the NFL.
Kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we'll put in a couple of things from the olden days for us, right, growing up. But it's mostly just talking about sports, right? It's just a fun thing that we get to do. We're filming it, trying to make a little production out of it. But it's just it's all in good fun, I think we got some inspiration from a few other brothers that are doing some podcasts, and it seems like a good way to not only stay connected, but just do something different,
Yeah, we've been talking about this for, I think I would say like years now.
It's been a couple of years, I think. I want to say maybe like 2, maybe 3 years. It's always been kind of on our minds, but time hasn't really been on our side. It still is difficult from time to time to make this, but we'll make time for it.
Yeah, you've been kind of lazy though.
True, 100%. I don't have any question about that. That's definitely on me.
Yeah. We could have probably started this a couple of weeks back, but
better late than never, brother. Better late than never.
Yeah, that's true. Cool. So that's the first episode, and probably, hopefully we'll have the next one up next week at some point before the games kick off. Real quick, who are you picking tonight?
Tonight's matchup, we have it's
2 games. It's a doubleheader.
2 games, right?
There's 2 games. That is the other thing that's so weird about the NFL. They're not even back-to-back games. They're literally scheduled at the same time. What are your thoughts on this?
I don't really understand it. I think they're staggered by an hour. Am I wrong? Yeah, no, they're staggered by about 45 minutes. I think they're just trying to get more of an audience for Mondays. I think their numbers maybe haven't been doing too well for the NFL. So maybe they're just trying to get some diversity in there. And possibly are they both on ESPN? Yeah, so they're both on ESPN. Yeah. So being that they're both on ESPN probably paid more. They're like, hey, we want two games.
Are they both on ESPN?
They're just trying to get their rate. Yeah, one's on ESPN Plus. It's actually the second game is exclusively on ESPN Plus. The Cardinals Chargers. That's the first ever game that's exclusively on ESPN Plus. So if you're not an ESPN Plus member, you won't be able to watch that.
Yeah. Who cares? Nobody wants to watch that one. And I'm just kidding. No, that'll be a good one.
Well, I
It's a
mean,
divisional game. It should be interesting.
Harbaugh, yeah, Harbaugh, man. That guy's just a character, so it's always in good fun. If I was in Scottsdale today, that would have been awesome. I would have been able to go to the game. Sweet.
Yeah. Well,
that's right. Okay.
That's too bad. The Ravens and Buccaneers. I think that's obviously the big one. Who do you got?
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah. Who do you got?
I'm going for the Bucks, man. I'm going for the Bucks. I'm a big Baker Mayfield guy. I think that guy, he's always had a chip on his shoulder.
Yeah.
Always.
Big chip. It's been a mountain, a mountain on his shoulder.
He is super awesome, honestly. Like, that guy had the deck stacked against him in Cleveland. Goes out.
Who doesn't?
I believe he played. Huh?
Which quarterback doesn't?
Yeah. Well, I mean, he was a first pick, and he was a surprising first pick. People were out there saying that was a reach, that was a mistake, all these things from the get-go. The guy played well in Cleveland, but it's just like you said, you want that now. So Deshaun Watson was that nice, shining, new quarterback. They were like, oh my God, if we can get him, he'll be the crown jewel of the franchise. And he's just been shit, to be honest. And I feel bad for him because he just tore his Achilles yesterday, and that thing popped. I don't know if you saw the video, but he's going to be out probably for a good year and a half.
Yeah, that was a bad injury.
Yeah. So, but I think Baker Mayfield, man, he's at home, man. He's at home, and playing against Lamar, this is a way to figure out how good your team actually is. So let's see.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I agree with you. I think Bucks probably take this one. Todd Bowles, this guy is a really good coach. Probably could end up being the coach of the year this year because he's got the Bucks playing at a really high level. Baker Mayfield's playing at a really high level. The Ravens are good. They're a dangerous team. They've always been a dangerous team. But yeah, let's see how it goes. I agree with you. I got the Bucks tonight.
All right.
Yeah. Cardinals, Chargers. I mean, I got the Chargers. I'm rooting for the Chargers.
Yeah, I'm rooting for the Chargers.
It's Harbaugh.
I got Harbaugh, and I got a fantasy football vested interest as well.
Yeah,
so.
You don't need to worry about that. You don't need to worry about that fantasy football.
Yeah, I wonder why.
I think that game's over.
I wonder why.
Yeah. Cool. All right. I guess signing off, the Golden Brews.
All right, signing off. Bye, guys. We'll see you next week. Hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Come on.